Imagine Omelas, a beautiful place in everyone's eyes. Majestic mountains reflected in crystal clear lakes. Rolling meadows of wildflowers and lavender rest between the hills that lead to a perfect city. Architectural marvels line the city sky. The exciting sound of train whistles sound every so often from the magnificent station. The farmer's market in the middle of the square has an abundance of the most juicy, delicious, and freshest foods you could possibly think of. Nothing on display here is more than a few hours old, and everything you try is better than the last. The sound of laughter from the children playing in the park echoes through the street. And the citizens of Omelas all have their jobs to do, but everyone is happy to do their part, and no one is taken for granted. There is no war, no hunger, no poverty, and no government. Spirituality exists, but there is no clergy, no religion to make constricting man-made rules. They get on without the stock exchange, advertisements, the secret police, and the bomb. But these are not simple folk. They are not less complex than us. They are mature, intelligent, and passionate people. They are all free to do as they please, and they all please to do good. Do you believe? Do you accept the joy and wonder of Omelas? No? Well, then let me share with you one more thing. In the basement of one of the city's public buildings, there is a room. It has one locked door and no windows. A little light seeps in dustily between the cracks of the boards. The floor is dirt, and it is damp. The room is 3 paces long by 2 paces wide, and in this room a child sits. It looks about 5 or 6 years old, but in fact it is nearly 10. It is feeble-minded, perhaps because of fear, malnutrition, or neglect. It sits hunched in the corner and has no concept of time. Sometimes the door rattles terribly and opens. A person, or several, are there. One may come and kick the child to make it stand up. Others never come close, but they peer with frightened, disgusted eyes. The door locks, and the eyes disappear. The people at the door never say anything, but the child, who has not always lived in this room, and can still remember the sunlight and its mother's voice, sometimes speaks. "I will be good. Please let me out. I will be good." But they never answer. The child is so thin. There are no calves to its legs. Its belly protrudes and it is naked. Its buttocks and thighs are masses of festered sores, and it sits in its own filth continually. It lives on half a bowl of cornmeal and grease per day. They all know it is there, all of the people of Omelas. Some of them have come to see it, and others are just content to know it's there. They all know it has to be there. Some of them understand why, but some do not. But they all understand that their happiness and the beauty of their world, the tenderness of their friendships, the health of their children, and the wisdom of their scholars, even the abundance of their harvest and the kindly weather of their skies, wholly depend on this child's abominable misery. Most would like to do something, but there is nothing they can do, if anything were to be done, to help the child. In that day and hour, all of the goodness and grace of every life in their perfect world would wither and be destroyed. Those are the terms. The happiness of thousands at the cost of absolute misery for one innocent being. Often, when the observers first learn of the child, they go home in tears after witnessing this terrible paradox. But as time goes on, their distaste begins to fade, and they go on about their business. But sometimes, one will return home, and instead of staying, they go out into the street alone and keep walking away from what they have seen, and what they refuse to accept. They are the ones who walk away from Omelas.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger or brother